Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Welcome to the Auckland Unitarian Church, a place that has been our home for 118 years. Unlike many other churches, we don't have a creed. Instead, we have 7 principles of how we are trying to act together. The full list of principles is on the wall. Today, I want to speak about the inherent dignity and worth of every person. I forgot to bring some opening words, but I can remember some because I memorised them during the week. And that is the words from the census, which says there are 47.8% of people who are non-religious, and there are 37.6% of Christians, a reversal of 2 of the biggest groups in our census. Very, very surprising result. I light this candle as a symbol of the cares and hopes of all of us and how we have come here today to share them all. Well, today I'd like to speak about where have all the Christians gone. Sorry for changing the sermon I was advertised to speak about. A month ago I thought it would be good to talk about the changing attitudes to the Second World War. But when the census came up on Tuesday, I thought that was such an important issue that I would like to talk about that. Also, it took me a huge amount of time preparing this because although the census put the results out on Tuesday, these were just the individual results. They said how many Buddhists, how many Methodists and so on. It didn't add them up. And it didn't say what percentages they were, which rather surprised me because the Census Department usually does that themselves. And I asked the Census Department, why are you not giving these results out today? They said that will be some months before we can work the detail out. So I feel I've got a march on the Census Department because I've done the sums myself and would like to share them with you. That is the big one to me. And if you look at those numbers, some of them are absolutely amazing. If you look on the left column, 47.89% no religion. That's a huge number. That's about 11 more than we had in that group in the last census. What a change. Christians is the second biggest surprise. They are down to 36%. 36. They were the biggest groups. They were 48 in the last census. That's where I got the title from. Where have all the Christians gone? If you look at the others, they're not that surprising. 2.6 Hinduism, 1.3 for Islam, 1.12 for Buddhism, 1.11 for Judaism, and so on. Those are not that surprising, but I'd like to talk about some of those as well. That's my first summary. Christians 37, no religion 48. Where have all the Christians gone? Well, this shows who else has gone up apart from the no religions. You have 2 lots for each group. The left-hand column is what they did in the last census in 2013, and the right is the present. So there you can see the no religion people. They have gone from 41% to 47%. The Christians have gone from, the grey figure is the old figure for each group. So the grey figure for the Christians was 47 point something last time, 47.9, 36.7 now. So they've gone up as well. Sorry, they've gone down. I'm supposed to be looking at who's gone up. Look at the Hindus. They have gone up. They were 2.3 and are now 2.6. Islam has gone up. They were 1.2 and are now 1.3. Another group who has gone up, looking for, there's not many have gone down, gone up. If you look on, I'll talk about some of these others later. One of the biggest ones going up is the numbers on the grey block at the end, where they have gone from 4.4% to 6.6% people who refuse to sign the census. So that is part of the answer of where all the Christians have gone. They've all gone into these other categories, including lots of people refusing to state. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of my slides. Who else has gone up? The Hindus are up a little. Islam is up a little. Refused to state are up a lot. Who have gone down? Well, that was a surprise to me. We've already mentioned the Christians, but also, it's a bit hard to read. Buddhism has gone down. Judaism has gone down. And other religions and beliefs and philosophies have gone down. I'll say some more about them later. Major religions, beliefs and philosophies has gone down. Now, one of the ones that's hardly changed at all, but have you ever heard of Maori religions, beliefs and philosophies? Have you ever heard of that as a census group? No. Where were they before? Were there no Maoris in New Zealand? They were all counted as Christians. So there's a large chunk of people who were, and that's a large part of the explanation of why the numbers of Christians have gone down. None of those people have left their churches or left their groups or stopped being ratanas. The Census Department has just decided that they do not count as part of the Christians. So that's a stroke of a pen that has made that number change. And I've noted some interesting points about those Maori religions. First, they're no longer listed as part of Christianity. They're not even listed as a religion, but as religions, beliefs and philosophies. There might be a bit of each of them. They have hardly gone down at all, and they are one of the main reasons Christianity has gone down. They haven't gone anywhere. They have just been given a new label by the Stats Department. Have you noticed any other groups who are just new labels by the Stats Department? Well, there they are. I've already mentioned the Maori. The New Age religions. That is a new label by the Stats Department. And they have gone down a little. Other religions, beliefs and philosophies. That is one of the biggest surprises of the whole lot. They never had a group like that before. And they have made a big jump. They were 0.88% in the last census, and they're 1.93 before. Now that's quite a big jump for these other religions, beliefs and philosophies. One of those other beliefs, religions and philosophies is atheism. This is the first census in New Zealand where you've been allowed to say you're an atheist. And they are less than 1%, and they're in those other beliefs, religions and philosophies. Ditto for humanists, ditto for rationalists. Would you know how many rationalists there are in New Zealand? There were 9 people who ticked that in the census. If I'd known that, I would have ticked it just to make my vote count. But that's amazingly small. And you've got to ask why all those atheists are so tiny, such tiny groups. And part of the reason is that many atheists that I know didn't want to count themselves as atheists. They wanted to be counted as no religion. So those, what I would call chicken atheists, are part of the no religion total. It really is a wrong label. It should have said no religions, philosophies, or other beliefs to declare. That's what they really should have labelled that big group. And I think once the atheists get annoyed and say, why are we mixed up in those, the census department might... But that's not a very big number. That's only a few thousand people who I think have been put in the wrong box. So, my conclusions. One is the census is great because it helps us to recognise our differences. To me, it is an absolute eye-opener to know that the number of Christians, people who identify as Christians, is so low. That's a fact I ought to know, and now I do. Also, it's important that we choose our own box, and I thank the Statistics Department for letting me now say that I'm an atheist. I wanted to also say that I was a Unitarian, but it wouldn't let me say that. It only gave you it restricted your choice. But I'm glad that I can now tick my own box, and many others can. My third message that I get from that is acceptance, that all these people are no different from what they were a week ago. We just didn't know about it. And so we should not meet this with judgment and saying, ha ha, your group has gone down. We should be meeting it with acceptance and saying, now I understand a bit more about where you are coming from. It's also made me think of the power of a majority. It wasn't the census that made me do that. It was this march. And all those young people and all those others who joined them, they showed you how powerful it can be if you have got a lot of the population supporting you. In the Bible in Schools campaign I'm hoping that a huge majority of people will favour secular education. But the census doesn't count them anywhere, but it makes us know who they are. And also the power of a minority. If you are feeling a bit gloomy at the fact that as a Unitarian you're listed among the Christians and you get a very tiny section of the vote, that doesn't matter. You can still do a huge amount. Like Greta Thunberg, she is one person and she has mobilised thousands of people all around the world. So it's not a crime to be in a small box in the census. So that's my thoughts on New Zealand Census 2018. So that was 2018. What next? I pause now. If anyone would like to comment, feel free. To me, this was an eye-opener. Maybe you can add some to that perspective.
Thanks, David. It just reminded me of the census. I wouldn't put Unitarian in as a Unitarian because I knew that would put me in the Christian category, and I'm not a Christian. So I think the census it needs to be a bit more flexible. So I think I seem to remember I ticked atheist or maybe the non-religious. I can't remember. So yeah, it's quite difficult. I'm also a rationalist and a humanist. So yeah.
I agree. Some of these groups should get to the stats department and say so. The Unitarians should say we're not part of Christianity, we are other religions, or something like that.
The problem is that the New Zealand stats doesn't know anything more about Unitarianism than Unitarians. I mean, we were part of Christianity, but we haven't been for a while. But nobody has sent a memo. So we used to actually have our own category in the census, if you go far enough back. We weren't very large, but we had I forgot what year it was that they dropped us, but.
Thank you. Well, thanks for your thoughts, everyone. I just thought of some last words. I was meaning to include this in the service, but it got omitted. Bob Dylan, when I looked up this beautiful song of his, I found dozens of versions of it. I was surprised to find that he himself had rewritten it a half a dozen times and so lots of others. As late as last year, he wrote a version of that song which has all sorts of modern issues. Like it has a go at Trump, it has a go at women's lib, it has a go at all sorts of things, but most significantly, he drops the last verse where it says, the line it is drawn, the curse that is cast. He has dropped his gloomy ending, and he put a new ending which includes things like, if they go low, we will go high. So that is where he thinks on those subjects now. I think it's quite an inspiring thought.